Have a little listen to Anna Turley, the Labour chair, MP for Redcar, who was talking to Nick earlier today about this perceived U-turn. When is a U-turn not a U-turn? Well, Anna Turley had an attempt at answering that question earlier.
So telling the sector their business rates are going to rise and then telling them they're not, that's not a U-turn in your book?
Their business rates are independently valued, so that was going to happen as a result of coming out of COVID. Plus, the relief that we put in place for COVID was going to come to an end. So, and we've moved, a lot in the budget to try and support them through this process. If more needs to be done, we'll look at that, and we keep every policy under review. And it's a sign of a confident government that is willing to listen to the public, take the right decisions, and not just plough on ideologically, but to make sure it's right.
Okay, I don't know. I'm about to ask my listeners, but you lastly, then you will say a government that's committed or performed 11 U-turns is a government that's in a position of power and strength, is it, Minister?
Policies change all the time. I don't see every shift in a policy. We can spend the next 3 years calling every shift or slight amendment in a policy a U-turn. I don't think that's fair. Okay. The reality is we have to make sure that we get things right for people, and we always keep our policies under evaluation.
The 11 U-turns figure comes from the Daily Mail today, and it's not really fair or accurate, but there are certainly more U-turns than you should be comfortable with. As Paul in Skelmersdale puts it, I'm a big fan of Labour, and their mistakes, though frustrating, are mistakes. U-turns aren't always weakness, in fact, quite the opposite. And then, just like Ian in Liverpool, he quotes one of my favourite lines back at me. What is the point of having a mind if you never change it? As Ian suggests a wise man once said. It wasn't me. I thought I'd come up with that. It turns out it was actually Edward de Bono. He was a philosopher before he founded U2. That's my favourite dad joke, and no one else ever laughs at it. But I'm never going to surrender. As with all the best dad jokes, you should never step away from it. You should never step down. But the idea that there is no point having a mind if you never change it is a defence of so-called U-turns. I'd add to that, there's no point having convictions. There's no point having policies if you never stick to them, is there? So there's a fascinating tension here. There's a balance between wanting governments that acknowledge mistakes, that listen to criticism, listen to the people likely to be most affected by a policy, and a government that ploughs on regardless. For example, the poll tax, probably the finest example of why being psychologically and politically incapable of U-turning is politically ridiculous. It did for Margaret Thatcher. But where do you put the line between healthy listening and mind changing and weakness and flip-flopping?
Good morning, Nick. It's interesting. You don't need coffee to get your energy levels up in the morning. You just need to listen to a minister on your show.
What's she done to your adrenaline or your blood pressure then, Guy?
Well, apart from just coming on with a script and not knowing any of the detail, it just wasn't believable. I mean, it became apparent quite quickly that Labour didn't have a plan when they came into power.
Yeah.
But the problem is they still haven't. And they float policies into the press and see what the reaction's like. And then they put the policies in place. And then they do U-turns. I mean, to be honest, when you took the list out, I mean, it's nearly one a month.
It is extraordinary. They're at 11 now, and they've only been in power for, 18-something months or whatever it might be, 20 months.
And they make a virtue of the fact, we just listen to the people, so we're changing it. No, I don't want that. I want them to get it right first time. That's what businesses do.
And lastly, for the chair of the Labour Party to come on and say how they're fixing the economy, not to know that growth is actually contracting, I found extraordinary.
Oh, I know, and freezing rail fares, and we're doing this and that, and obviously mortgages it's all about what the government's done.
Well, of course, as anyone knows, it's the Bank of England that sets that. They're completely apart. And how the government control... And not everyone is wealthy enough to buy a house, for God's sake. They need to understand that as well.
And rentals are going up. I mean, the reality is it's farcical what they come on with. And most of the politicians that come on, they've got no idea.
Sorry what it does for your blood pressure. There'll probably be another one on Monday, and I hope you'll be listening. Have a good and hopefully warm weekend, Guy. Roger in Brentwood was listening. The cost of running my taxi has increased. Higher council test costs, extra tests, an increase from 2 to 3 a year. Increased cost of annual medical, increase in fuel, drop-off charges at airports. Do I go on? When I hear a government spokesperson spouting this rubbish, it makes me really angry. These idiots don't seem to realise that. I'm afraid, and I don't wish to be personal, and I'm not going to be personal about the chair of the Labour Party for one moment, but I'm afraid as a political stance, people are pretty angry with what you were telling me. Tim says, what the hell is she talking about? We're being taxed to the hilt. Tom in Brixton, this is drivel. The government seems to think if they can talk about growth and say there's more money in our pocket, it becomes true. The reality is the opposite. They are lying to our faces, and this is becoming embarrassing. Andy says, this is just like the Tories talking absolute rubbish. John says that showcased the government's zero idea about the economy. Do keep them coming. Andrew in Benfleet, what are you going to tell me about pubs, Andrew? Where did I last go?
All right, Nick, thanks for
Not
putting
at
me
all,
on.
sir.
I've waited over an hour, but I don't mind.
Well, I'm very sorry about that. It's been jolly
Yeah,
busy.
no,
There's a
thanks,
lot going on,
Nick,
sir, but
anyway.
we've come to you now. Go ahead.
What I want to say, right,
Yes.
with regards to the U-turn,
Yes, sir.
it isn't going to make any difference to the actual punter that goes into the pub, because they're not going to put the beer down. It's still going to be between £5 and £7 a pint.
Is that how much a pint? I don't drink beer. Is that how much a pint of beer is? £7?
Now, it's between £5 and £7 a pint, and it's because of the national wage rise, and that is across the board. It's not only the bar staff.
Yeah, but we
it's
had just had the
between
chair of the Labour
everybody
Party.
that works in those pubs.
We've just had the chair of the Labour Party telling us that they're putting pounds back in our pockets. Does it feel like that for you?
Well, I don't see how they're putting pounds back. I mean, if we used to go down the pub, you probably think back years ago, you'd go with a few blokes.
Yep.
Well, let's say it was £3.50 a pint, or £3 a pint, say that.
Okay, go on.
Right, you would buy a round, wouldn't you? You say, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, it's my round, I'll get a round. But
Yeah,
now
of
you
course.
can't do that now. It's £7 a pint, don't you?
Well, that's going
You
to be,
can't
if they're 5 or 6, that's going to be about 40 quid or something in that region, I would
Yeah,
have
it's £40 a round. My two sons, they're saying they don't buy rounds anymore. Now, can I just go on to two pubs what I want to talk about, Nick? Just two pubs, I'll be very
briefly.
quick about
Yeah,
it. Right.
go ahead.
Witherspoons. Great pub, nice and cheap, but they're bloody boring. They're bloody boring because there's no music. You can't go in there and make a friend, a local, because it just doesn't work in there.
What makes... OK, lastly, Andrew, I'm going to ask you for two things, I don't mean prices, two things that make a great pub. Obviously, you like a bit of music. What else makes a great pub? Funny things on the wall, nice welcoming
People
staff.
going in there, people who tell jokes. I mean, let me tell you about another pub, right? I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to name it. It's called Riley's.
Right, OK.
Riley's, you know Riley's. They've diversified.
Yeah, didn't they used to have snooker tables? Have I got the wrong...
They've now got snooker tables
yeah,
back. They've got pool tables. They've got darts. They've got other games.
And it's working.
I went down there last Saturday for the first time in about 6 months. It was absolutely ran.
Good.
Now, all of those people in there, Nick, they was all between 25 and 35. There wasn't many elderly in there because they can't afford to go and pay £7 a pint, can they?
No, they can't. We're back to that £7 a pint. Glad we got you on, Andrew. Safe drinking to you.